president of the Philippines is defiant about his crimes against humanity, and he took a bold step to show his disdain for the international community. So the Guardian reports here, Rodrigo Duterte to pull Philippines out of International Criminal Court. President accuses ICC of crusade against him after it opened inquiry into his war on drugs. So there are about 139 countries signed up to the International Criminal Court. You're going to love who the exceptions are. The U.S., of course. We signed the treaty in 2000 but never ratified it. Russia didn't sign on to it. And Israel didn't sign on to it. So we say, hey, international law applies to everybody. And Russia says the same thing. Israel says the same thing. Now, of course, in this dispute, the International Criminal Court is right and Rodrigo Duterte is comically wrong. The guy is committing a genocide. Without a doubt. 8,000 people have been killed since 2016. And that's people who sell drugs, people who use drugs. And he's been open about this, man. He says, yeah, I want the families of the drug users to kill them, but I don't think they have the heart to do it, so I'll just have the police officers do it. They're doing massacres of drug users and people who sell drugs. Unreal that this is happening. And again, he pulled out of the International Criminal Court over this. Now, here's why this story is important. If this was Iran that did this, doing a genocide of drug users, and then pull out of the International Criminal Court, the U.S. would say, that's it, we got to go topple them. Rogue regime, committing a genocide, we need to do regime change. Now, listen, if those were the facts, I would oppose U.S. intervention, because it's not our job to be the policemen of the world, and whenever we say it's for humanitarian reasons, it's not. It's always, there's selfish ulterior motives like getting natural resources and having more power and control around the world and maintaining our status as sole superpower. So, but this just goes to show you that we know humanitarianism isn't their main goal. Because if it was, they'd be saying that with this. If we cared about humanitarianism and being the world police and it wasn't about natural resources and imperialism, we would be calling for humanitarian intervention here in the Philippines. We'd be calling for it in Yemen against Saudi Arabia. Instead, we're arming Saudi Arabia, who's committing the genocide. But if we were the world police and we really just cared objectively about, hey, let's stop pain and harm around the world, well, then you'd have to intervene against Saudi Arabia on the side of Yemen. We'd have to intervene against the government in Myanmar, who's committing a genocide against the Rohingya Muslim population. So it's not about humanitarian intervention, and this proves it. Rodrigo Duterte is doing a genocide, killed 8,000 people, is open about the fact he's going to kill more people, pulled out of the International Criminal Court, and not a fucking peep from Washington. So I just want everybody to understand that. If we cared about humanitarianism, we wouldn't be arming Saudi Arabia, and we wouldn't look at Rodrigo Duterte and shrug. We'd go, wow, he's doing a genocide. But Trump actually agrees with executing drug dealers, so he's clearly not going to say anything. But even if Obama was still in power, he wasn't going to say anything against Rodrigo Duterte, because Obama was in power and he didn't say anything against Rodrigo Duterte. Or if anything, it was a little slappy slap on the wrist. It was nothing. So I just want everybody to understand what our real motivations are, and this proves it. And Rodrigo Duterte is a fucking monster. Nobody really gives a fuck about what he's doing, and there's no wheels in motion to try to stop it in a diplomatic way, in a way that involves negotiation. So I think more people are going to end up being killed in the Philippines as a result of Rodrigo Duterte's leadership. And I think this is a much bigger story than people are giving it credit for. But again, instead what you'll find is U.S. media and the establishment in the U.S., they will rail against the official state enemies of the U.S., So Syria, you'll hear nonstop about, oh my God, Syria is so terrible, so wrong, look at what they're doing, it's horrendous. But you don't hear a peep about Yemen, you don't hear a peep about the Philippines, you don't hear a peep about Myanmar, because the goal, again, is not humanitarian. The goal is imperialistic, and this is yet another example of a case that proves that.